Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I don't really know. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm gonna be doing just like a sit down and chat with me kind of video. If you hear noises in the background, it's just my various pets. But today I'm gonna do a little sit down and chat kind of video. There have been some unpopular AuthorTube opinions that have been floating around recently in the past, like 1, 2, 3 months or so, and I just kind of wanted to put in my 2 cents. I don't know, because sometimes I like to feel like my opinion matters. But anyways, so yeah, I'm gonna get to it. And I know that this channel is a little bit of everything, you know, like I do digital art, music, etc., whatever. I'm actually working on new music for you guys, but still, I know this channel is a little bit about everything, but I've been focusing a lot on writing lately. I'm trying to get a second poetry book out. I'm trying to work on my novel. It's coming along, slowly but surely, slowly but surely. So I have the unpopular opinions that I kind of wanted to talk about on my handy dandy iPad here, that I sticker bombed the back of, like stickers that my friends designed. So yeah, the first one is fan fiction is just as legitimate as other writing mediums. Yes and no. Yes, because you know, you're still creating a story, or you're still, you know, writing, of course. But the only reason why I'm not really personally like the biggest fan of fan fiction, only because like it's not, I'm not gonna say that it's not the most creative, but like I don't know. I don't like the idea of using other people's characters and using real people and like in scenarios that you made up in your head just to like fill some desire or need to do that. I don't know. I just don't really understand fan fiction, and I don't really get the appeal, but you do you, you know? Number 2, AuthorTube is more about the aesthetic of writing than the writing. And this I can kind of agree with in a way that, you know, a lot of it is all about the look and the aesthetic, you know, like oh, my writing corner, oh, like this, and like the decorations and the fancy whatnot, you know, but like, I don't know. I write poetry. I'm writing a novel, but I've never published a novel. And like, I don't know. I feel like AuthorTube sometimes glamorizes the life of an author and the life of writers, because sadly, like the sad reality of it is that not as many people read books anymore. And that's just kind of how it is. And don't get me wrong, a lot of people still read books, but the sad reality is that not a lot of people like to read for pleasure anymore. And it makes me really sad. It's not that I mean, me personally, I do like to read for pleasure, but I just don't do it as much as I used to. But I don't know, with the rise of, you know, social media and movies and whatnot, it's hard. So I think AuthorTube is fine, and I think it's great as a community, but I think it's hard because it glamorizes the life a little bit. Book deals and getting your book in Barnes & Noble and whatever, but like making money as an author, etc. I don't know. AuthorTube is like a mix, I would say. Number 3, if traditional publishing doesn't change, it won't exist in the future. I agree. I would agree very hard with this, for the sense that self-publishing is so huge nowadays, and you can do so well self-publishing because you get full creative control and, you know, you make more money, etc. So if you play your cards right, you can do much better self-publishing versus traditional. It's just about having that following and having like, and marketing yourself, you know, and having supporters, rather, if that makes any sense. But I think traditional publishers, and I think traditional publishing houses and companies, etc., I think they need to be more inclusive, you know, LGBT, people of color, etc. B, I think they need to be a little bit more open to new ideas, because this, obviously the same story's been done a billion times, you know, like the hero story, whatever the fuck. Like, I think they need to be open to the idea of weird shit, you know what I'm saying? Because like, reading classic stories is fine. I mean, look at me, I'm writing one, but a lot of people like fantasy, and a lot of people like, you know, weird shit. And don't get me wrong, I love weird shit too. So I think publishing houses needs to be a little bit more inclusive with their ideas and their people. Okay. Nanowrimo is toxic in the community. I don't know if I'd necessarily agree, to be honest. I think Nanowrimo, honestly, is like a good opportunity to get your shit done and hold yourself accountable. But I also think it's good in the sense that people share their experiences, because it like motivates each other, you know? Like, you don't have to do Nanowrimo if you don't want to. And and like, yeah, there is this pressure, like, if you're a writer, to do NaNoWriMo, but like, you don't fucking have to. Like, I don't know. Like, I write poetry mostly, so I'm not gonna do NaNoWriMo, and I haven't in the past because I don't write novels. I'm writing one now, but in the past I haven't, you know? So like, you don't have to do anything you don't want to. So I would disagree. I would say that NaNoWriMo is not toxic, because it's just people sharing their experiences and uplifting others, you know? And if that's not your thing, then just don't participate, you know? No harm, no foul. Okay, next one goes into finances a little bit, but not everyone can self-publish well. And I would agree. There's a right and wrong way of self-publishing, you know? For me, it took me a year. It took me a year to write all my content, get my illustrator to send me my illustrations, have my cover done, etc. And honestly, for me, the illustration part wasn't even the hardest. It was mostly just writing the content. But I understand that not everyone has... I was lucky. I was lucky that my illustrator did not charge me very much, because they just wanted to be a part of the project. I paid them like a reasonable amount, but you know what I mean. But I understand that not everyone has the finances to drop, you know, $200 on a book cover and an extra $100 on a few illustrations and whatnot. Like, I understand that. But at the same time, I think there is a right and wrong way of doing it. I think a lot of people rush the process because they just want their book out there as soon as possible. But I think they forget to go over, you know, making it presentable, making it look professional, you know? Professional, you know. Like, a lot of people, I've been seeing a lot of people publish on Amazon lately, and it's just like a blank cover with like some words. And like, don't get me wrong, that's great if stylistically that's what you're going for. Or like, I don't know, one thing that gets me is font. I don't know, personally, if you have like some cheesy, weird font, I don't take it seriously. And that's just kind of how I am. But that's just my own bias, you know? So like, I can't really speak up for other people. That's just my own personal opinion. But like I said, I do feel like a lot of people rush the process and they end up with like a sloppy, self-published version of their book, when if they had just put a little bit more time and effort into the presentation of it, I feel like it could be much better. But that's just my opinion. Like I said, I can't speak for everyone. This leads me into my second thing. First person narrative is lazy. I would say I disagree, but I also agree. Ugh, I'm so in the middle. I agree because I feel like it's an easy way out, but I disagree in the sense that if you can write first person narrative really well and not make it constantly thoughts, not make it constantly like, oh, in the character's head, I think it's really good because it helps the person and the reader see from their perspective. I really want to write third person. I'm really bad at it though. I'm gonna work on it, but yeah. So I agree to disagree because I write first person, but I'm working on it. It's okay. Word count goals are detrimental. I would disagree. I think word count goals, personally, at least for me, help fuel me. They help hold me accountable. One, I like sit down and I say, you know, I'm not leaving from this spot until I write 200 words or 100 words to start. You know, I think they help me push me, you know, and they help motivate me. Your word count goal doesn't have to be like 500 words. Start off with 100, start off with 50, start off with 10. I don't care. You know, I think word count goals that are like, oh, I'm gonna make a book that's like 50,000 words. that is like biting off more than you could chew, especially if you're first starting out and you've never written a book before. Yeah, they can be detrimental if you use it that way. But if you use it the right way, I don't think word counts goals are detrimental. I think it's just a matter of how you use it. But like, why is this person, whoever wrote this one, why are they right though? So many big author tubers are white women in their 30s, and it's hard to find diverse voices. I would agree. I would agree 100%. I think nothing against them. Don't get me wrong. Like, half of the people that I watch are white women, but I do agree that in the writing community, it's a majority, and it's kind of hard to find diversity. And I found that Black creators, Asian creators, etc. I haven't seen many Latinx, Hispanic creators, but maybe that's just because I've been looking in the wrong place. But I have seen Asian creators and I have seen Black creators not get as much traction in the writing community because of that. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. It's because the subject of racism, it's like, it's hard because people don't even understand how systemic it really is. And it's just, I don't know. I agree though. And that's all I'm going to say, really. It's my next one. AuthorTube is dying. And this has been one that's been going on for a while. I would agree, honestly. I would say AuthorTube is dying for the reason that people don't read anymore. People don't read anymore. And I'm not saying that all people don't read. Like, BookTube is huge. But a majority of the population does not read anymore. And it is very sad. And it's hard, especially with, especially considering a lot of the stories that we're telling have been told before. It's just finding a new way to tell them. And I think especially considering when it comes to publishing houses and traditional publishing, they're not as open to new ideas and stuff. It makes it even harder. People don't want to read what they already have been told, People don't want to read the same old shit. That's why they like movies. Because at movies, there's new shit all the time. They're being introduced to like new technologies, etc. Versus books, it's a little different, And I think AuthorTube is dying for that reason, but I think we need to adjust ourselves. I think we need to change with the times, if that makes any sense. We don't have to change ourselves completely. Don't get me wrong. Like, all I'm saying is that I think we should emphasize more on the storytelling rather than, I don't know. I don't really know, honestly. It's kind of a hard debate because there's the whole, like, people don't read anymore, but there's also, like, all of BookTube. But it's also, like, for some reason, I've noticed BookTube doesn't really like supporting AuthorTube for whatever reason. I don't know. It's kind of hard. No comment. Ooh, I made a video about this a while back. You don't need to read to be a good writer. And I would agree to disagree, as most of them. But I would agree because you need to be able to read in order to write well. Like, you need to be like a well-versed person. You need to be literate, Like, you need to be able to use a higher level of vocabulary, You can't just say the word stupid for everything or whatnot, Good writing isn't just using the same filler words or very and whatnot all the time, It's about keeping your readers engaged through vocabulary, through diction, etc., and through, sentence flow. So I would agree, but I would also disagree because, like, if you watched my earlier video about it a while back, I don't really read that often. I read for pleasure occasionally, but I don't really read that often for, personal reasons. If you watch that video, you'll understand. But basically, long story short, I used to read all the time as a kid. I grew up without TV. All we had were books. And I think that's why I'm a decent writer, I guess. But I don't read currently. So yes, it could be better, but still. But then I stopped reading because, I had a death in my family and friends and stuff, and it was just whatever. But I would agree to disagree. Okay, second to last is it's fine if you enjoy pantsing, but you should be able to outline. I agree. I guess it's kind of a little bit individual for each person. I like to pants, but at the same time, I think you should be able to outline just so you don't have plot holes, but also so you maintain like a sense of continuity. Like, plot holes is one thing, but it's also like if character A is, you know, in love with this guy, and then if character A is in love with character B, but then in like the next chapter, say like it switches or whatever, and there's no explanation, how does that make sense? You're gonna just confuse your readers. So I would say you should be able to outline just for the fact that so you don't have any plot holes and so that you maintain continuity throughout your story. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. It's just some of my, like I said, some of my opinions about writing. I'm actually going to do a video later, maybe today or tomorrow, I don't know, of reading from my poetry book. I've done one before, I'll do it again, but because when I talk about writing, it's mostly about poetry for me, but I'm trying to get into novels. We'll see what ends up happening. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye.